Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Curious Tales. Today, we're diving into something a bit different but incredibly relevant for anyone interacting with AI, and especially for those of you learning English through modern tools. We're looking at what makes a great prompt engineer.
That's right. Our title for this one is Prompt Engineer. These might be the best guides. So, Max, I've heard a lot about prompt engineering. It's like how you talk to AI, right? But what makes these guides you found so special? Are there secrets the average person doesn't know?
Precisely, Kate. These aren't just your basic how-to articles. I've been through some fascinating materials, particularly from places like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic, and they reveal some less obvious tricks that can dramatically improve your results with AI.
Ooh, less obvious tricks. I like the sound of that. Lay them on us. What's the first one?
All right. One of the most interesting principles, especially highlighted in Anthropic's materials, is that for an AI like Claude, thinking only counts when it's out loud.
Thinking out loud. What does that mean for an AI? It doesn't actually speak, does it?
Metaphorically speaking, it means you can't just ask the AI to solve a complex problem and only give you the final answer. If you want the AI to truly process and reason effectively, you need to instruct it to show it's working, to break down its thought process step by step in its response. They call this precognition or thinking, step by step. If it doesn't write those steps down for you, it's saying it often hasn't actually done that deeper thinking.
Wow, so it's not just about the final answer, but how it gets there. So if I ask it to write a story, I shouldn't just say, write a story about a cat?
For a simple task, that might be fine. But for something more complex, like analyzing sentiment in a tricky movie review, the guides suggest you'd get a better result by asking it to first list arguments for a positive sentiment, then arguments for a negative one, before deciding on the overall sentiment.
That makes sense. It's like showing your work in a math problem. Any other quirks like that?
Yes, there's a related point about how AI models can be sensitive to patterns. One guide mentioned that an AI is more likely to make mistakes when you make mistakes, smarter when you sound smart, sillier when you sound silly. So, the quality of your prompt, your grammar, your clarity can actually influence the quality of the AI's output, not just its understanding.
So, if my English isn't perfect in the prompt, the AI might give a less perfect answer? That's a bit scary for learners.
It's more about being clear and avoiding ambiguity. But it's a good reminder that precision helps. This actually leads to another cool trick, using specific structures in your prompts. For example, Anthropic's guide talks a lot about using XML tags.
XML tags? Like for coding websites?
Exactly. But here, they're used to clearly separate different parts of your prompt, like instructions from data you want the AI to process. Do this with this text. But even more interestingly, you can ask the AI to use XML tags in its output.
Why would you do that?
It makes the AI's response much cleaner and easier for humans, or even other programs, to understand and use. For example, if you ask for a poem, you can tell it, put the poem in tags. Then you get just the poem without any extra, here's your poem, preamble.
Ah, so you get straight to the good stuff. And you also mentioned something about speaking for Claude. Sounds mysterious.
Chuckles lightly. It's a technique where you pre-fill the very beginning of the AI's response. So after your prompt, you'd write assistant colon. The AI then continues from where you left off, perhaps generating the title and then the poem. It's like giving it a very specific starting point.
So you're guiding it even more precisely. That feels like a real power user move. You know, the Gemini for Google Workspace guide mentioned something interesting too. They found that the most fruitful prompts average around 21 words, but most people only use about 9.
That's a fantastic point, Kate. It underscores the importance of providing enough context and detail. Short prompts can be ambiguous. Longer, more descriptive prompts, like the ones using those 4 key areas, persona, task, context, and format, tend to yield much better results. And always remember the most important part of the task, a clear verb or command.
Okay, so be detailed. Show the AI how to think and structure things clearly. But Max, what about when the AI just gets things wrong? You know, make stuff up. Hallucinations, they call them.
That's a critical concern. The guides offer strategies here too. One is giving the AI an out. You can add phrases like, only answer if you know with certainty, otherwise, say you don't know. This can reduce the chances of it inventing an answer just to be helpful.
That's surprisingly polite. It's okay not to know AI.
Another key thing, especially in business, is rigorous evaluation. OpenAI's guide on AI in the enterprise talks about Morgan Stanley. They put their AI applications through intensive evals, basically structured tests to measure performance and safety. The result? 98% of their financial advisors now use these AI tools daily. It's not about blind trust, but about building confidence through proven, tested reliability.
98% is huge. So these tricks aren't just for fun. They're making AI genuinely useful in big companies. This sounds like it goes way beyond just asking an AI to write an email. What about these AI agents I keep hearing about?
Exactly. We're moving into the realm of AI agents, systems that don't just answer questions, but do things. They can perform multi-step tasks, use tools, and interact with external systems. The guides from both Anthropic and OpenAI, I have a lot on this.
So, like a robot assistant, but in the computer?
In a way, yes. But the advice is, again, to start simple. You don't need complex frameworks right away. You can begin with what they call an augmented LLM, a large language model that's given access to tools like a search engine, a calculator, or even the ability to read files and a memory to keep track of the conversation.
Tools sound important.
Absolutely critical. And here's a fascinating insight from Anthropic. When they were building an agent for a complex coding benchmark called SWE Bench, they found they spent more time optimizing the tools and how the AI interacts with them than they did on the overall prompt for the agent itself.
More time on the tools than the main instruction? Wow!
Yes. For example, the AI made mistakes using relative file paths, like go to the folder next door. So they changed the tool to only accept absolute file paths, the full address, and the AI used it flawlessly. They even have a term for it, poka-yoke your tools, which is a Japanese term for mistake proofing. You design the tools so the AI finds it harder to make a mistake.
That's clever, making it easier for the AI to succeed. It's like we're not just commanding it, but also designing its environment.
Precisely. And OpenAI has this concept called Operator, an agent that can use a virtual web browser, click buttons, fill forms just like a human would, to automate tasks on systems that don't even have APIs.
That's a bit mind-blowing. So if companies want to start using AI like this, how do they even figure out what to use it for? It sounds like it could do almost anything.
The OpenAI guide on identifying and scaling AI use cases gives some good pointers. They suggest businesses look for repetitive, low-value tasks, areas where there are skill bottlenecks. Like if your marketing team needs code written but has to wait for engineers, or situations where people often face ambiguity and need help getting started.
Ambiguity, like writer's block.
Exactly. AI can act as a catalyst there, brainstorming ideas or outlining initial steps. And I love this idea from Claire Vaux at Launch Darkly. Mentioned in the guide, she created an anti-to-do list.
An anti-to-do list? What's that?
It's a list of tasks she finds annoying or low value that she doesn't want to do anymore, and then she figures out how AI can take them over. Things like monitoring KPIs or tracking competitors.
I need an anti-to-do list for my chores. That's a great way to think about it. And once they have ideas, how do they choose?
There's a simple but effective impact effort framework. You score use cases based on the value they bring versus the effort to implement them. Start with the high impact, low effort ones to build momentum.
Max, this is so much more than just typing a question into a chatbot. These guides really open up a new way of thinking about working with AI. It's like learning a new skill, but also learning how to teach a very powerful, slightly quirky student.
That's a perfect way to put it, Kate. It's about understanding the AI's strengths, its limitations, and the clever ways you can guide it to get the best possible results. And these guides are gold mines for those insights.
Well, a prompt engineer. These might be the best guides. Seems like a fitting title then. I've definitely learned some new tricks today that I'm going to try. Thanks, Max.
You're welcome, Kate. And to all our viewers, we hope this has given you some new perspectives on prompt engineering. Don't be afraid to experiment. The more you understand these principles, the more powerful your interactions with AI will become. That's all for this episode of Learn English with Curious Tales.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments if you have any cool prompt engineering tricks of your own. Bye for now.